Garfunkel and bring on the Santa Clarita City Spotlight Show. That's what I always say. This is Barry Smith, news director here for KHTS, and we're here to talk about all things city every third Friday of the month. We spend an hour and just talk about what's happening in Santa Clarita, and right now I'm here in the studio with Robert Newman, who is the director of public works for our fair city. And Robert, what exactly, for the average layperson who may not be involved in or not understand the city workings, what does your title kind of entitle you to?
Good morning. Thanks for inviting me. Mostly it's probably things that people don't recognize until they're either inconvenienced by construction or waiting at a traffic signal. We do all the sidewalk maintenance. We do all the capital construction in the roadway. So if you're waiting in traffic, it's generally our fault, the staff I work
thanks,
with.
Robert.
Yeah, you're welcome. I figured you'd appreciate that. We do signal timing. We do traffic improvements. We try to stay ahead of development and impacts on traffic. So we look at capital projects to implement. We got a couple of very significant ones coming up here that we're looking forward to.
We definitely want to talk about those. You kind of touched on something that was interesting, though, and I think very misunderstood. Traffic timing and the signaling. People think it's random, this, like, that's all done through equations, and it's studied by traffic engineers, right?
Yeah, if you look at trip generation, every kind of business generates different traffic. School, you wouldn't want to be around a school if you weren't supposed to be there dropping your kid off in the morning, because there's always a lot of people there. And kind of the same thing applies across the way. And what you have to do when you look at traffic, you have to look at trip generation. And traffic patterns change. Saturday, Sunday, it's different. And Monday through Friday is different. You have Friday light or whatever you call it. Everybody's kind of heard that. And the traffic signals are all coordinated based on traffic counts and information that we collect and program to provide kind of the most flow and the least amount of delay. So it is a challenge, and it's always kind of a moving target for us. And they're all technical and a lot of computer based, and they're all coordinated. Probably nobody's clocks are all the same time at their house, right. and all the computers and the traffic signals are all kind of based on timing. So we've got them all interconnected so that they stay coordinated. And
the city has a control center where it operates all of these things, and that's one of the things that are in your purview?
Yeah, correct. We've got a traffic operations center that we have the ability to monitor and watch what's going on. We don't staff it full time, but we're able to change timing. We're able to look at signal operations. In some cases, we've got some video monitoring that we're able to look at the operation and decide, based on what we see, how we can adjust it so that we can maximize the flow of traffic through the existing intersections.
And thanks. I appreciate you kind of explaining that, because that's the one thing. We get a lot of calls about traffic, and people come to us for kind of traffic tips and stay in the know about that, I should say. But we also want to talk about a lot of the projects. The city, I have a list of probably 300 projects that the city is working on, just constantly improving, constantly working on things. What are some of the things in the pipeline that we can see around our city in the coming months, coming year?
Yeah, two aspects of that, and what we do is build new things which help in the community. The library is something that just opened up late last year in Newhall. That's one of the buildings we do. We also do infrastructure, which is bridge widening and roads. So Cross Valley Connector is something we opened here a couple years ago. That was a multi-stage, funding opportunity that came to fruition over about 10 years. So a couple that we have coming up very significant is the McBreen Bridge widening, if everybody's familiar, over there by the post office in Valencia.
Okay,
and
sure.
in the Golden Valley Bridge widening over the 14 freeway. Those two, probably about $8 million total construction cost each. And we'll start, at least in the case of McBean, later this summer, and then hopefully if we work out a couple issues with Caltrans, we'll be into construction early next year or late this year.
And we'll certainly talk a little bit more about the specifics of that project. But as far as how they're selected, what makes you choose? Okay, it's time to widen the bridge at McBean. It's time to widen the Golden Valley Bridge. I mean, it's pretty big, but obviously there's a traffic demand that kind of calls for that.
It's one of the things we monitor. We look at traffic patterns, and as growth happens and as traffic patterns shift, so you build a new school or a developer builds a new project, we look at those traffic patterns and we see where those impacts are. Developers, when they build something, pay impact fees, and we use those impact fees to try to leverage grant opportunities. So both the McBean and Golden Valley that I referred to are grant recipients for projects that came out of Metro. So we're able to leverage local money created from the developer's impact fee with the grant money through Metro. And you put those two together and you're able to put forward a project.
And it sounds like there's a lot of pieces to that pie. So essentially, it's first you recognize the need, and then you see, okay, how can we get other agencies like the federal or the state agencies that support us to kind of pitch in to solve this problem?
Correct. Yeah, you have to understand the funding availability. It's not all one pot. You've got the commercial on TV. Everybody says the yellow orange money. That's your retirement fund. Government deals with color of money and all the fund sources. Even though you have money for a project, you couldn't use it for something else. It's always earmarked just for that project. So you go look for funding opportunities.
So you apply for it for a specific cause, and then you kind of have to take it and then, okay, now we're going to fix this problem because that's what we got the money for.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So that seems simple enough for such a, I know these things can get complicated and so on, but it's really just about, okay, we recognize the need, and then just like with my fixes around my house, if I have the money for it, then I can, kind of address that problem.
Correct. And we look at it and we work with the residents. We listen to them. They provide us input, and we use what we have available from information to look for those opportunities. And sometimes that money comes and sometimes it doesn't for a while. And like these two have been in the pipeline for a while.
Thanks. And we'll be back to talk more about these kind of projects. This is the City of Santa Clarita Spotlight Show on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.